Now, Matthew 18. Turn there. Beginning at verse 21 down through 35. Peter came and said to him, Lord, how often shall my brother sin against me and I forgive him? Up to 7 times? Now, Peter was being magnanimous. The rabbis taught 3 times, and that's enough. In fact, Rabbi Ben Hanina writes, he who begs forgiveness from his neighbor must not do so more than 3 times. Rabbi Ben Yehuda, quote, if a man commits an offense once, they forgive him. If he commits offense a 2nd time, they forgive him. If he commits an offense a 3rd time, they forgive him. The 4th time, they do not forgive. So the teaching in that day was 3 times and you're out. Peter says, 7 times? How often shall my brother sin against me and I forgive him? Up to 7 times? Jesus says to him, I do not say to you up to 7 times, but up to 70 times 7. Now, he's not saying 490 times. Okay, so don't do the math. It's his way of saying an infinite number of times. Every time someone does something that hurts you, forgive them. Every time. Over the passing of years, you'll learn how to do that if you haven't learned already. Ideally, you learn at home from your parents. But realistically, most parents aren't good teachers in this area because they drag anchors. And it is a very difficult thing to forgive someone when they haven't come and asked for forgiveness. And you can reconcile around it by saying that the person never asked me to forgive them. I don't see it in here. Ideally, yes, but since when do we live in an ideal world? A little help on that, I think, will be worth it. Ray Stedman, whom I served under as an intern, wrote this in one of his books. This is a marvelously expressive phrase. Turned him over to the torturers. This is a marvelously expressive phrase to describe what happens to us when we do not forgive another. It is an accurate description of gnawing resentment and bitterness. The awful gall of hate or envy, it's a terrible feeling. We cannot get away from it. We feel strongly this separation from another, and every time we think of them, we feel within the acid of resentment and hate eating away at our peace and calmness. This is the torturing our Lord says will take place. You will enter ministry, and as God's spokesperson in whatever may be the capacity, you will be the target of attack, and there will be those who will do you harm. There will be far more that will love you and appreciate you and respect you, but there will be some, trust me on this, who will make you the target of their tongue. And they will take you on behind your back and sometime to your face. And I'm telling you, it's tough to deal with. That's why I said to the guys we were ordaining earlier this week, my prayer for you is that you will develop 2 things, a very sensitive heart and a really thick hide. A really thick hide. I've had some of the ugliest things you could hear with human ears said to me right in front of our church. Right in line by people who decided it's time to unload their truck on me. I've had some of the most, some of the worst things written to me, and they're almost always signed in the love of Christ. And then it's left anonymous. So you don't know who they are. And your mind does tricks on you. You start thinking they're all thinking that. They're not all thinking that. But there are a few. And the enemy would love to cut your legs out from under you and have you bail out of the ministry. More people leave ministry because of things like that than I think any other reason. They don't leave because they don't make enough money. They don't leave because they don't have big churches. They don't leave because of marital problems. Most leave because they can't take the heat. But let me tell you something worse than that heat. The torturings that come when you don't forgive. I've been there. It's horrible. We had a situation come in a particular church, and it festered, and it got worse, and it became a hell on earth to deal with the situation because they were fellow leaders. And it just about broke my spirit. And that's enough of what happened. God saw me through. They've left. Thank God they left. And harmony returned, but I didn't let it go. And I stayed on it. And I stayed on it. And I stayed on it. And I stayed on it till finally a dear brother of mine, used to be on the faculty here at the seminary, Mark Young, came in one day, closed the door behind him. When they closed the door behind him, you want to put on your seatbelt, especially when somebody is as insightful and loyal in friendship as a man like Dr. Mark Young. And he said, Chuck, it's over. Give it up. That's long enough. You just got to forgive him, man. And when he left, I again broke in tears. Called my wife, and she said, honey, he's right. We've all heard it enough. You're dragging this around with you. It's affecting you. And it was. Torturers. Acid of resentment. The sting of bitterness. And you know what? The forgiveness that came was the benefit of forgiveness is phenomenal. I mean, I was freed up. It was like I could fly. It was like being given wings emotionally. I got beyond that, and I wasn't any longer needing to rehearse it.